Hi guys. Okay, we're picking up chapter 4 today. And chapter 4 is talking about ABC costing, activity-based costing. And this is a continuation in what we've already learned about how to deal with overhead allocation. Because when you're doing manufacturing cost allocations, the complicated part is what do I do about the indirect cost, which is the overhead. You usually know how much direct costs you have because you know how much material and labor you're putting directly into the product. But the overhead is just this big pool of costs that can't be directly allocated to the product, but that are related to making the product. So that overhead allocation is what causes some complication. And that's why we've been talking about overhead allocation with the single plant-wide rate already. And then this chapter, we're going to talk about two other ways you could allocate. And really the chapter that we're dealing with only talks about the activity-based costing, but my nuts and bolts exercises that I'll do will revisit the single plant-wide rate. Plus it will talk about if you had two departments that you were allocating overhead for. And then the third thing that those nuts and bolts exercises will do is the activity-based costing. And then we'll do some exercises from the textbook too, of course. But for this video, I'm just going to go over the notes. And you'll see in this class, managerial accounting is very much number crunching. So the notes become smaller and smaller as we go along, rather than there being a lot of lecture points that I have to make. There's a lot of demonstration I have to do. So this video will be very short. My note sheet is very short, 1 page, but the exercises is where the meat of this chapter is. And for you, it means you have to totally understand what you're doing when you do the exercise. And that way, when we get to the test, if you get a problem that is not number crunching, it's going to be asking you about something you did when you were doing the number crunching most of the time. So on the test, there'll be a lot of number crunching, but there'll also be some questions about what you're doing. So as long as you understand exactly what we're doing and why you're having to do the calculations you're doing, then you won't have any problem. So I don't expect there to be any trouble, but I just want to make sure you understand. Sometimes I get a little pushback from students who say, all we did is work problems, but then on the test, there was questions that weren't problems. Well, that's very few, honestly, that are not problems, but or exercise type calculation types, but the only ones that would be there would be the ones that we're trying to make you understand the theory behind why do we do that kind of calculation? Why do we have to worry about that? So anyway, let's just go ahead and run through these notes, and then I will post some exercise videos that show you how to do these things. Okay, the first one, when you're allocating overhead costs, you could take the big pool of overhead costs and just split it up amongst everything that you're producing in the plant. That's the single overhead rate. And so you take the total, we've already done this, so I'm just repeating, that you take the total overhead budget for the year and you divide that by the amount of the driver that you've chosen, which sometimes could be labor hours, sometimes could be labor cost, sometimes could be machine hours. But the most common one and the most often used to teach this concept is the labor hours. So that's what I'm going to use in my nuts and bolts exercises. That's what a lot of the exercises use and a lot of the test questions use. Sometimes though they switch to the labor cost, the dollar value of the labor, or sometimes they switch to the machine hours. So you have to know how to do all of them, but the labor hours is the most common. So what we take is the budget overhead for the year and divide it by the driver, which is this time could be labor hours or machine hours. And that gives you an overhead rate. And that rate then you take and you say, okay, for every one of this driver that I have in cost, I'm going to add this amount of overhead. So for instance, if you had if you had your overhead rate was $4 per labor hour, then every time you charged out the labor on a job for your manufacturing process, then you would charge $4 worth of overhead in addition to the labor cost. So whatever your rate is, then that's the amount you'll apply to the job times however many the driver hours are, which in this case, it would be the labor hours. Okay, so that's the single plant-wide rate, and that's what we're already doing, also known as the single overhead rate. Then if you had a situation, the second one that we'll talk about is multiple overhead rates, where you had segregated your overhead into the part of overhead that it takes place in this department versus that department. So maybe you have two processes. For instance, if you were baking a cake, part of baking a cake is the mixing and part of it is the baking. So maybe you have overhead involved in mixing and part of it you have in baking. Or even you could have the third one that's decorating. And so that would be like the frosting and the, sprinkles or whatever you would put on it, or however complex you make your decorational process. But in any case, you could have lots of steps in the process of what you're doing to make your product. So if I was making a cake, then I might segregate my overhead that is costing me in these different departments of what it is I'm doing, what processes I'm doing. And so if I did that, I'd have a pool of costs in each of those different departments. And I could say, how many labor hours, if that was my driver, am I going to spend in the mixing process versus how many hours of labor am I going to spend in the baking or the decorating process. And so when I did that, I'd have a pool of costs for each of these different processes, that this is my overhead for this type of activity or this department's processes. And this is how many hours I'm expecting to be. So then you would just do the overhead calculation for each department, just like you did for the single plant-wide rate here. So the multiple overhead rate is exactly like the single overhead rate, except for there's more of them. So it's more complicated just because you have to keep straight. Am I talking about mixing? Am I talking about baking? Or am I talking about decorating? Or whatever your departments are. And so that is just a little bit sticky because you're kind of tracked down all the costs for your department. But it's not harder or more different at all than doing the single plant-wide rate. It just makes you do it for each department. Okay, then on the third method, which is what this chapter is talking about, this activity-based costing, you get it broken down even further, where every activity or step that you make in the process of making these goods, it has a different overhead allocation, because you have your overhead cost you have segregated into different things that you do. So in other words, some of it might be an ongoing process that you do with every product, but then some of it might be, it's a switch. Like this is called a setup cost. If you, like my husband works at a sweet potato plant. And so if you are making sweet potatoes, and most of the time you make crinkle cut fries of sweet potatoes, then that would be what you use. You would use your overhead for the factory, the overhead costs for inspections, the different costs that are involved that can't be directly allocated to the product. You would have that ongoing for every product. But as soon as you got an order in from a restaurant that was like wanting to make waffle fries out of the sweet potatoes, then all of a sudden the setup that you have that's making crinkle cut fries will not work. So you have to redesign the manufacturing process to an extent by changing out some pieces of the equipment. That's called a setup change. So a lot of times in activity-based costing, one of the costs that you'll have that you're tracking factory overhead for is the cost it takes to do that turnaround, to change it from making one product into the ability to make the other product. So it will be like the case of my husband's company, where they're making the crinkle cut fries, but then they need to make some waffle fries. They have to reconfigure the equipment to do that, and that's not free. It takes time. It takes labor costs from the maintenance people, and that's the biggest cost of it. Plus, it might take some cleaning and that sort of thing to prep for the change. But in any case, all the cost involved in doing that switch would be allocated to factory overhead for setups. Then you would estimate how many changes of setup do we think we're going to have for this period of time. And then you, just like you do for every other factory overhead, you'd take the total setup cost you're expecting divided by the total number of setup changes you're planning, because setup changes are your driver. So then that would give you an amount of setup cost per driver or per setup. And so that's one of the classic things that's added with the activity-based costing, because setup is a big cost to the manufacturing process. And it's one that can be easily segregated so that you are not just allocating inspections all across the period. You have this one big time cost that happens just occasionally, and it can be allocated more directly to the product that's involved. So that's one. And a lot of times it'll be like my thing I did with the multiples. It might be the mixing, in the case if you're making cakes, it would be maybe the mixing, the baking, the decorating, and then maybe switching over from equipment, the cost involved to switch equipment into setups. Some people allocate inspection costs to an activity-based costing. Most companies do, actually. And so they take all the cost of the inspectors, and then they lump that together and divide it by the number of inspections they're planning to make. So again, it's just whatever your cost is that you can single out and say, well, this piece of the overhead is directly related to setups, or this piece of the overhead is directly related to inspections. So any piece that you can allocate that says, I could nail this down and divvy up the cost a little more accurately if I separated these parts of the overhead costs. And then everything else that's left just winds up being in the general factory overhead allocation, or in a departmental allocation of overhead. So that's really what we're going to work with. We're going to do lots of exercises. They're going to teach us how to do that. So there's a few more concepts here. The cost drivers, we already know about those to some extent, and I've already mentioned some of them. It could be the machine hours if you're based on machine hours. It could be the labor hours if you're using labor hours to allocate your costs. It could be the number of inspections or the number of setups, just like I mentioned in my examples. Then you have these cost pools, which is just talking about the cost that you're putting in that type of category, as in this is the setup cost. So all these costs that relate to setup, I'm going to put them in the cost pool for setups. All these costs related to inspections, I'll put them in the cost pool for inspections. Or if I'm segregating by department, all these costs related to mixing, I'm going to put it in mixing. So, I mean, in manufacturing, you probably aren't going to have a mixing department. That was just my casual way talking about something generally that I might do. So cost pools is just talking about, here's a category of the type of overhead cost we could separate and divvy up by itself, and that's called a cost pool. Okay, our job now is to calculate the rates for each of these to figure out what's the relationship between the driver and the pool. Here's the total cost, here's the estimated amount of the driver, and then let's just come up with a rate so that we'll have a logical way to allocate these overhead costs. All right, so the only other thing I'm going to pick up in this chapter that's not related to that is they talk about this manufacturing cost hierarchy. And then there's these different kinds of activities that are done in a manufacturing concern. So the first one is the unit level activities, and that is something that is done to every unit that you produce. So that would be like the direct labor and the direct material. Every one of the products you make is going to have an element of direct material and direct labor. So unit level means everything that we do is going to have this process applied to it. Then the batch level activity is talking about this is performed for each batch. So if I'm making, let's say this, go back to crinkle cut fries. If I'm making crinkle cut fries under one brand of product, and I'm also going to make one under another, a batch would be like if I was making, I'll just throw some names out. We'll say I was making product for ABC fries, then I would have to allocate the cost for that batch. Like, in other words, I would have special bagging for them. I would have special coatings maybe that go on their fries, seasonings that go in them. That's a batch level process. And sometimes that would be like if ABC product has multiple different products they make. So this is not just, this is the custom batch, basically, that we're going to make this batch like this and this other batch like this. So it includes machine setups. This would be the changeover to, might fall in here, like the waffle fries versus the French fries, the waffle fries versus the crinkle cut fries. That's like machine setup, shipping, order placement. All these are batch level cost. And then similar to that is the product level cost, which is where it's performed to support each specific product that that company has. So that would be R&D, testing, promo, design. This would be where they might do some specialization plans for their products. So really, the thing I was describing about the batch level, I was talking somewhat about product level, so sorry about that a little bit. Batch level, they're doing more the administrative side of the order for that customer, whereas the product level is doing more about the production side of it, meaning we got to practice how to make these so that they come out right. We got to make sure that the coating we're put on them is going to turn out crispy whenever we're finished with it. You know, the taste is good with the seasoning, that sort of thing, the testing, the and then the design of the bags, maybe to customize them. So all those things are product cost, but batch level and product cost are distinct to that customer, but they aren't. It isn't that you're doing these processes on every product that goes out the door. Once you get the plan down, you don't continually do these batch level activities or product level activities. They are more in the planning stages. Then you have the facility level activities, and that is when you perform some maintenance on the facility. It's this, and the supervisors, the HR function, advertising, general factory cost. So this would be just cost related to the facility itself that's not directly related to a product. And then, so all those, we'll do some examples about those. I think there's one in your homework where you have to identify which are unit level, which are batch level, product level. I may do one in the exercises that I put up for you too. And then the other thing that I want to mention is that we are skipping some pages in this chapter. We're skipping page 173 to 181. So remember, if I don't tell you to skip the pages, that means even if I haven't discussed them in the videos, that you still need to understand what that says, because there's a slight possibility that I would include a question about that in my question pools for the test, because I am expecting you to understand what's in the book, and you're working through it with your Learn Smart too. But these pages specifically, we are skipping for coverage of the test, 173 to 181. So that's all I have for today, and I'm going to put up some practice videos for exercises for you. Thanks.